Reuben, it's Bob and Tony here in Connecticut. How are you, sir?
Doing good, man.
Good evening, Reuben.
Great to speak with you again. And again, we had a lot of fun talking to you on the radio side a couple weeks ago, so it's a pleasure to have you on the TV side. As we talk to Reuben, we'll have pictures of him on the screen, both modern pictures and pictures of him in his playing days. And what we like to do normally, Reuben, when we talk to some guys that have played the game, we want to take you back to your youth and talk to us a little bit about your when you were a small child, Reuben, about your favorite teams, maybe the sports and favorite players you had while you were really, really, really young.
I look back on everything that I learned. I had a collage in my room on my wall, and I had in the likes of Muhammad Ali. Oh my God. Pretty much everybody that was a legend back in the day. Paul Brown. I was just all about football. Joe Montana. And I just idolized those guys. And I used to play out in the streets, and I used to mimic a lot of things. And I think probably the greatest memory of my childhood, and the most, it was one that kind of deflated me, but it motivated me, was the fact of what they call the catch. With Dwight Clark in the back of the end zone.
Oh, sure,
Dallas,
yeah.
And so that right there, that put the fire in the stove. I took off from there, as far as just wanting the opportunity to play to get back. I did have one opportunity to go to the Super Bowl, as we know, in '94 with the Chargers, but I still accomplished what I went after. So I owe a lot, really. If I could go back, my nephew. Who was born later on, took over my room after I left and went to college and went pro. So he took my collage down. I wished I had took a picture of that, being to find that. But these youngsters, they not into stuff like that. He's actually headed the other way. He's into music, so we got two different spectrums there. He actually did play ball, was a pretty good athlete, but he was basketball and everything. But he tore that down. So we had a long knockdown, little, not necessarily argument about it, but I just asked him, did he understand what that was all about? And that was my childhood. And it was constructed from. It's not really big now, but like Sports Illustrated, and everything. We have moved so much to the internet that a lot of people don't get the actual physical Sports Illustrated magazine.
You're right about that, sir.
Yeah. So I used to cut it out. My mom, she got the subscription for me. I when I got that magazine every month, I flipped through. The highlights. I took the front page, depending upon who was on it. Had a couple of swim issues on there. I won't leave that out.
Still
do. Every man's dream. But yeah, that was my direction of my childhood, and I grew from there. I started to get into college football, and I started to add on to the outer circle of that collage with some of my favorite schools, and we all know the one that I ended up at was my favorite of all. I don't know what it is. I love that Carolina blue. I always did. Mm-hmm. I had a little bit of touch of orange there, but my best friend, ended up going there, Delton Hall, as I said, before that, he played there. So it was almost, I was right there on the edge of becoming a Tiger. But then I looked at it, when I sat down with my mom, I looked at it, really what was more important also was my education. And I wanted to major in communications. Clemson wasn't offered. So it came down, really, the situation was, if I went to Clemson, I would go to Clemson for football, but I'll have to go across the street to the local community college to get the degree in what I wanted.
Okay.
I wasn't too enthused about that. So I chose to come to Carolina where I can get everything in-house. And they pretty much at that time was ranked in the top 3 communications classes across the country. And so, I had the opportunity to come out of that with, the likes of, becoming friends with, Stuart Scott, Kenny Smith, Scott Williams, some of the people that I had class with. So it was very big for me to get to that level and know where I came from my childhood. So that's kind of about that. I got a lot of friends back home. When we get together, like actually coming up We have, got the high school homecoming coming up this year, and they've created a golf tournament between the two major schools, which is Page High School in Greensboro and Greensboro Grimsley. And you may remember some of the likes out of Page from Danny Manning and and myself. So and the list goes on. And it's just an area that is so rich with athletes that have that went on to play ball. The Wellborns and and it's just unbelievable. What's man, but Ethan Albright. And so everybody's back in the area. So it is so competitive, and now after football, that it's just become something that we pretty much have just taken over the city. A lot of guys got football camps going on, and and just looking back on, if that stuff was there when I was growing up, I wonder what direction I would have went in, and everything. But we providing for these young kids today, and I'm just looking at the direction. That some of the football programs are not there, like at the middle schools, they're cutting it out. So some of these kids are having to go through what I went through, not because of the fact that they was overweight like I was, but for the fact that we've made it a money thing, and so it's just a different era now, just a different era.
Yeah,
for certain.
As Reuben said, I mean, having grown up in North Carolina and then being picked in the 9th round of the '88 draft, would go on to play 9 seasons between '88 and '96 for 3 teams: the Buccaneers, Cardinals, and Chargers. And you mentioned in your high school there, Reuben, Grimsley High School. We've got to give a shout out because they gave birth to 6 NFL players. You guys must have a pretty strong alumni network down there.
We actually have a non-student athlete. I definitely got to give a shout out to Chris Schools. He's fighting real hard to start a high school Hall of Fame. I was inducted 2 years ago into our county Hall of Fame with a couple other greats. And we got a couple that just got drafted recently with out of the city that I know will definitely be going in there after their careers. So I'm stoked. I've been blessed, and my past. A lot of people don't know my past, but I'm a very, very, very blessed guy. Yeah.
Again, we're on the phone with former NFL defensive lineman Reuben Davis. Tony, question.
And Reuben, it's a pleasure to have you. And I just wanted to mention, what was your pro-draft moment like? And was that a great family moment? Were you surprised as to what took place, or were you hoping something different would happen?
Well, I had been slated probably a year and a half before the talk had started to buzz that this guy's is looking at going in the top 3 rounds if he stays on the level that he's on. A lot of people don't know that I broke my neck, cracked C7 vertebrae, so I had to go off the team in spring ball to bounce back. I'm on Facebook. I was just on there talking to my made friends with the guy that's pretty much responsible for my career, Skip Hunter, who is was at that time was the physical therapist and trainer for the team. We spent countless hours in the basement doing therapy on my neck. I went in at a size 15 and I come out at about a 22, close to a 23-inch neck. Put me in the best equipment that was available at that time, and so I wore one of what they call the Longhorn neck brace, along with some contraption that Skip made up. So the thing is, when that draft came around, I wasn't expected to get drafted. I was on campus taking an exam. I mean, I figured, hey, y'all done broke my neck. I come back, I had mediocre years. We didn't win as a team. Mm-hmm. So I was already prepared for a free agency trip, and I knew I was going to make the most of it if I just got the opportunity. That's all I was looking for was an opportunity. I didn't have the best combine due to the fact that I was behind on my strength because of the time I lost rehabbing and training for my neck. I wasn't able to lift and do other things because of what it was taking. It would have took away from me developing my neck and everything. So I was a little bit behind. So my combine wasn't as well, points wasn't as high. I don't even remember what come out of it as far as where they ranked me, but I do know that eventually I guess I crossed the eyes of Ray Perkins from Alabama, and those guys wanted me down at the Bucs. They ended up drafting me in as you know, 225th player chosen in the '88 draft, the ninth round, and I ended up being with a great class of guys. Went on to, have an awesome rookie year, developed into even a little better player in my second year, and then went to a situation where, Sam Weiss came in, took over. I wouldn't say we didn't get along. We just didn't see eye to eye. Santana Dotson had a great preseason, so they took opportunity. They traded me. Best thing come out of that was exactly, I guess I just say that's the Lord's work, with the fact that I ended up being traded for a third-round pick. So here we go. So I feel like my career actually started again in '93. Played a year, like I said, and a half with the Cardinals, and went on over to finish up with San Diego. So again, I was just very blessed, and it's just the fact that I go back with my mom. She was alive at the time. She's passed a few years ago, but she was a big football fan, and she was probably one of the ladies that anyone would meet, and she'd sit down and talk football better than any man, any coach. She was with me from day one. Like I said, my dad, missed a lot because he at the time lost his kidneys while I was in high school, so he did a lot of watching from the sideline from the standpoint of the hospital and everything. But my mama learned the game. She did a lot of hands-on work too. We did a lot of work in the backyard, actually. So that's how tough she was. We used to go against each other, in training and stuff like that. So she substituted for Dad. So I look back and laugh at a lot of that because I know it was a day when we were doing some running and everything, and she was laughing because I pretty much could outrun everybody in the neighborhood. So she got tired of me bragging and showing off. So she kicked the shoes off and said, "Come on here." So everybody was outside today. So a lot of people in my neighborhood know about it, but on record, a guy that's getting ready to go off to college gets outrun by his mom in the public. That wasn't good. That wasn't good. But I had found out later on that she was a hell of an athlete. Played volleyball, softball, and basketball, and also ran track. And explains with my sister also was a great athlete where she got her stuff. So yeah, we were tight. We were very sports oriented family. And that day when I called my mom and I told her that I just got the call from Tampa Bay that I've been drafted, she went silent. God almighty. I think the phone was probably quiet for about 2 minutes. And I'm kind of getting a little touch myself now. I kind of remember that day like it was yesterday because, as you know, we didn't have cell phones actually on campus. They also sent a intern kid up to come up to the building to the communications office to get me to come down to the field house to take the call. And just that walk down there, God, man, that was probably the longest walk in my life across campus, knowing what I was actually getting ready to hear. He kind of let the cat out of the bag a little bit. He said, "You got a call from an NFL team." He didn't know, but somehow he knew that it was a call from one of the teams. And so I took the call from Ray Perkins and Mike Dubose, the D-line coach, and they expressed how much they wanted to have me on the team and that they had drafted me and so forth and all the the formalities that needed to be done. And then when they hung up, I used the call and I called my mom. And like I said, it just when I told her, she didn't know, she hadn't heard anything because we at that time, the ninth round, there was no communications or whatever, and she was watching, but she hadn't seen it in the second day. And I don't even think back then that they used to do this. I think they just used to do like up to the top 3 or 4 rounds on TV, and then the next day was just basically off air and everything, if I remember correctly. So anyway, she didn't know.
Wasn't as big as it is
called
now.
Dad, and we celebrated the next day. I went in Chapel Hill, and I signed with A&R Sports, who I was going to look at to do with, as far as which was Raymond Anderson. That name may be familiar. Ray ended up becoming, vice president a few years ago for the NFL. He's now out at Arizona State. That was my agent. And so we just became a family. I was his first pick, first player ever. So I made a few milestones all the way around. I mean, I took a guy that he took a chance on me. I took a chance on him. He did everything, put me in the right place, and helped me with my direction in and out of football. And he ended up becoming, like I said, vice president. a few years back here ago, and like I say, he's a head athletic director now at Arizona State. And so my path, man, to where I got, I mean, I come across a lot of great people. Dick Crum was a great coach, and I'm just thankful and blessed because where I came from, for coming, I was like I tell everybody, the only way I can describe it is where Dr. DeWalt told me I was about the thinness of someone's hair from being in a wheelchair. So, yeah.
Well,
Every day I'm blessed and being able to put that title, that I played, 11 years in NFL. By the way, to correct you on that, I don't want to be like Trump and got to blow my own horn, but not real big on stats, but that's the milestone. When they give you the 11 years, you might as well wear them.
That's right.
Wow. And Reuben, I wanted to ask you, as far as the differences between the college game and the pro game, when you got up to the NFL, what was the first sensation you had that, you're playing a different brand of football?
Well, the first thing you notice is the speed. Guys are up on you. Reaction time is almost 10 times 10. And so you got to learn your plays so you know where you're going. That's the only thing that can help you. You can get by on talent. You had your Lawrence Taylors, and we can go on or whatever. Some of those guys was just like that. I had to develop that particular talent over a period of time. So I think I come into my own around about my 5th, 6th season. And the thing is, when you first get there and you're going against guys that are Pro Bowlers and stuff like that, and been in the league a while, the first thing you notice is the speed, the strength, and the smartness of the game. If you're not a student of the game, you can get caught up real quick and put in predicaments of a play before you know it, like a inside trap. If you don't learn that, on the college level and pay attention from the transition from college to pros on how to deal with that and the way you're being taught, it'll cost you a lot of plays. You're going against guys like, that I was open up to, like a Barry Sanders, and I would never forget that game. We had just signed Dexter Manley coming off of his situation. They brought him in, and we practiced all week long what we was actually calling a basket and one, which the one was worrying about Barry Sanders, on the back, in the backfield. And they told us, do not let your outside shoulder get hooked or get turned. Barry Sanders is gone. Mm-hmm. First play of the game, Dexter Manley is hooked, which causes a downfall on me. He gets thrown to the inside of me, knocks me further to the inside. Barry Sanders hit to the outside. I remember turning around, and all I could see was the back of that jersey just swishing like it was a basketball net going down the sideline. And I tell everybody that just because I'm like, that was the day, that was the moment that I realized how fast this game can change if you're not prepared and understanding your situation that you're supposed to take care of. So you just can't go out there and just, try to play by yourself. You got athletes like that. I remember playing, Christian Okoye. They told you, hey, don't go up in the middle. This guy is huge. He's big. He's going north to south. So, why are you going to be, worrying about swimming off of someone or whatever that stay on your block, come off your block at the last minute? You're going to need all the force and power that you can. But it was every game, it was something different and challenging about players who were the greats or who was the all-stars and everything. So that was my biggest coming from college, because it seemed like everybody in college, high school, All-American, this, that. I mean, I was there myself, so we all equal. But, on that pro level, they drafting the best, they recruiting the best, and probably my biggest last experience I would share would be, like I said, with the Washington Redskins going against the Hogs. I got a butt whooping that day. I think I graded out my first time against that offensive line was about 69 and everything, and I had the red dot on me all Monday morning, so that was an eye-opener. But, I look back on that, if you take those down the road with you in real life also, when you have days that you feel like you just can't get going or get this right, you just look back on what you took that day there on that Sunday and know that you survived that. It can't get too much worse.
Can't get worse than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
God
exactly.
bless you. It's great.
And Reuben, I think I mentioned on the last show, you played both defensive end and defensive tackle. A lot of guys can't do both. I want you to tell our viewers the difference between the two positions. Is there a different approach? And what did you prefer to do?
Well, I eventually fell in love with the nose guard position.
Yeah.
For one, I didn't have to do a lot of running.
Yeah.
But from a standpoint as a player, the thing about playing what we call like a three technique, defensive tackle and then defensive end, and then the nose guard. The difference is, let's just start with the nose guard. Is that one? It's a short game. You're going to get pounded every play by two guys. Okay, so you gotta be prepared mentally to fight the whole game against two guys. And so, not blowing my horn, but I was able to make a lot of plays from that position. So I guess it goes a long way. I'm actually friends now with one of the best in the game, Jeremiah Dotson from Pittsburgh, and I just remember battling him, in that playoff game and stuff like that. So I knew I had come a long way. I didn't really like the three technique because it put you out on a limb. You had a lot more responsibilities, and it required almost. I wasn't really known as a pass rusher, so I wanted to play to my strength. I was known as a run stopper. So I had a guy by the name of Sean Lee tagging along with me, and he was a great pass rusher. He was built for that. So I remember in practice one day we switched, and I took the nose guard. And the coaches saw what we did, so we did about 4 or 5 plays. This was at San Diego, and everything. So they moved me to what they call a cotton nose position, and Sean went to a 3. And I never looked back from there. Coming up the ladder, I had played everything across the front, and mainly the 2 position. Never played a head up nose. And so the difference is your speed and what type of player you are and how you built. Is where they look at and where you should look at as far as what position you decide to play on the defensive line. And I'm built with a long torso and short legs, so I'm perfect for nose guard. And you reverse that. Sean was short torso and longer legs, and he's got that reach and in his arms and everything. He was able to do a little bit better pass rushing that I was. So I was just built for that run, so it just complemented each other. And if you look across the board now, and I look at that players who at different positions, and I can almost tell if they got opportunity to play that or if they're going to be changed when they get to the pros, just because of their physical nature. Yeah.
And you mentioned your time in San Diego, Junior Seau and crew there,
Yeah.
Reuben. Seau, I mean, when watching on TV like we did here on the East Coast all the time, those 4 o'clock games, we would see Seau at the nonstop motor. His eyes were always wide open, and the guy just seemed to have more energy than any guy I've ever seen. Was he like that during practice during the week? Tell us more about him as a person.
Well, first of all, yeah, that's probably I can't give enough credit what credit is due as far as Junior as a person. He was an awesome guy. Just one of the first crew that I made friends with. Did a lot of hanging out behind the scenes with. Yeah, I think Hawaiian food. I ate a lot of that. He loved to break bread. But far as on the field, practice was definitely the same as the game. A lot of people, hear rumors about the way Jerry Rice practiced. Running, catching the ball, and run all the way to the end zone. Junior was the same way. He would come into the huddle and he break. He make the play, and he went all out to the end on every play. There was never a question that you can say, this guy didn't hustle or he gave up and everything. You literally had to either be laying on top of him or him under a pile if he couldn't get in on a play or get to a play and everything. And I remember when I got there, that just seeing him in his practice mode along with his training off the field up my game a little bit more. And I think that was, like I said, my best era of football was at San Diego.
Sure.
And I owe a lot, definitely to Junior. I mean, the guy was he was a monster. I mean, I know people used to, question, man, that guy's on something. But, I watched this guy, get to the stadium at, 5 o'clock in the morning, and first in the weight room, then getting, his rehab and stuff done and therapy done after that, back in the weight room, take his lunch. We do our meetings, and this guy's the first dressed and everything, and out on the field doing warm-ups and stuff like that. We still messing around in the locker room. Junior's pretty much already warmed up for about 35, 40 minutes before the whole team come out, and then practices at full bore for the amount of time that we practice, and then come off the field and go in and turn the stereo up in the weight room and lift weights to warm down. That's what he called that, warming down. So you just, I understand now why, the things that he accomplished and why people love him so. I mean, I hate the way things ended for him, but, I have, everybody, ask that why, but I try not to do that and everything. I just actually had a couple other players that happened to, and you just got to, just keep moving on and just hope this situation get better if it's connected to this stuff that they're saying and everything. And I just take it one day at a time myself. I am a guy that, had a lot of concussions, and so it's something that I deal with sort of mentally, but I don't let it come to the forefront.
Mm-hmm. And Reuben, as far as that concussion issue, do you feel that the league is doing enough with respect to that? And will we see better protections for the head of the player in football? How do you feel about that? What have you experienced?
Well, I know that's come a long way with the equipment and the helmets. I look at that. Anything is better than what we had. So I think that, they are. I can definitely say that they're trying. And, no one knows what's the best or what could be the best or what is going to be the best. But at the stage they're doing now by sitting guys down, they've improved on the equipment, and they're taking guys out of practice and they're taking guys out. If you get any type of bump where you having any trouble of memory or quick loss of sight or a good joke to the head, they're taking you right out of the game. You actually have to miss so many days of practice and under doctor scrutiny that, you're being looked at and stuff like that. I think that's huge. I remember many days taking a shot to the head in that middle and, get a slow time getting up because, I actually probably got knocked out, or took a stinger. I went to the sideline, took a little sip of water, maybe set one play out and send me right back in. Mm-hmm. After the game, you got major headaches, your vision is sort of blurry or whatever. They never even bothered to know
to check up on it. Yeah.
I never got a after game checkup or anything like that. So I know now. I hear that they're doing a lot of that. So I think I commend them for that. If they keep that right up and keep continuing with the progress of working with external doctors and programs, as I know that we're actually involved in behind the scenes of doing a lot of survey testing and stuff that they have us former athletes doing. I think it'll help the current players play a lot longer and be better.
And before we let you go, I can't end this interview without saying that Reuben did score an NFL touchdown, Tony. And it was
I didn't know that.
He had an interception and a pick six, and the way I read about it on the internet was that the man was rumbling down the field to score the touchdown. And tell us more about that. I know you'll never forget it, Reuben.
No, I'll never forget it. And it's funny, they say rumbling down the field, but it was only like 13 yards, but I swear it felt like 1,300 yards. But I made it to the end zone. Ron Holmes and the guys, Kurt Jarvis, all them jumped over me, and I remember being on the bottom of the pile for a second, and I was trying to hold on to that ball, but I knew I wanted that and everything, and I was able to do that, but I was flat out of breath. I thought I had to run about 8 gases after practice, and it just I don't know. I wonder if I was tired from the running or just the excitement, but I lost complete breath. I had to come to the sideline, and they had that oxygen mask on the side. I filled it up with some ice and hit myself. I know for about 10, 15 minutes, trying to get my breath back, and knowing we was going right back out there. So I don't remember if I actually went back or if I had a sub go in front of me on that, but that was probably one of the greatest moments, especially coming off a quarterback like Jim McMahon and everything. That was awesome. That's one that it sticks with me, and I'm in the record books for those two. That Tampa Bay with that with the D-line. You know, the interception and the touchdown and the fumble recovery all in one. So that's pretty good. Can't complain on that.
Great.
Tony, final question for Reuben.
And Reuben, did I get this right? Bob said you were doing some DJing?
Yes, sir.
Give me a talk up on a record. I want to get excited about something you're playing.
Oh man, you really put me on the spot. Oh boy. Let's see here. It's something that everybody might think. Okay, well we'll go with my man. He's pretty hot and clean. So basically, what you want is like an introduction of a song.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. This is yours, Rockin' Reuben, the Groovin' Reuben. Yours truly, the one and only DJ Big Joker. I'm about to do that thing. It's only one reason I'm here tonight. I got that money in my pocket. When I got that money in my pocket, I'm dangerous. This is my man Bruno. I like it the way we rock it. Let's do this thing. Hands up.
There you go.
That is great. Thank you.
Doesn't get any better than that.
I appreciate it. Yep.
I appreciate it.
I've enjoyed it.
Awesome. Reuben,
thank you, guys.
We can't thank you enough. You know, we'll probably be talking to, I know Chris on the radio side says we can't wait to get you back, and we still have other questions. We'll get to them down the road. Meanwhile, you please stay well and keep in touch, and
all the
we'll
best,
talk very
Reuben.
soon, my friend.
Thank you so much.
All right, you guys have a good night, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Anytime.
Thank you.